Hi everyone. So today I would like to take some time, and Tim would like to take some time to discuss narcissism.
Yes.
We're going to describe a couple of situations that we have found ourselves in with narcissistic individuals and how we reacted to said narcissistic situations. Do you want to begin, or?
Well, okay. So one situation I found myself in involved a friend who I didn't know was narcissistic until later.
Mm.
It was only after this happened, actually. I believe he was a covert narcissist because I definitely wasn't aware, although I could see, in looking back, I can see some signs of it. But what I saw when I looked back on the situation was that on a subtle level, he was exerting some control over me.
Mm.
And one of the main ways was that he was, I think, kind of like subconsciously training me to not disagree with him about certain things.
Interesting.
And to not challenge him about certain things involving this third person, that the conflict, we ended up having a conflict about this third person. It was kind of like he was training me to only respect his point of view and not respect my own feelings and thoughts about it. And so, but it was on a very subtle level at first, and my codependency maybe made me more likely to just go along with him on that. And yeah, there was just some other things too I noticed with him being a covert narcissist, that there were sometimes times when he would seem kind of disdainful of certain people or activities.
Mm.
And I would feel kind of like subtly shamed or criticized or somehow devalued for having brought up those activities or being associated with those people or something like that. But it was hard to pick up because as a covert narcissist, he was portraying an image of himself as being very empathic, helpful, nice guy,
Yeah.
Upstanding person. So these things were just coming out in little, kind of behind the scenes. Every once in a while I'd see these little signs. But then later we had this big conflict where everything just blew up. That's when I saw the overt things like gaslighting and rewriting history, shaming, devaluing, stuff like that.
So I just want to reiterate some of that stuff. So gaslighting, rewriting history, shaming. What else?
I don't know if there was anything else
Wow.
that I mentioned.
Because I had a similar experience, a breakup with an ex-girlfriend in which she gaslighted me and used active manipulation in order to create a situation such that I would be devalued, not only by her but by authorities. So definitely share that experience of experiencing first some covert manipulation, less so covert manipulation on her part. Her narcissism was pretty outright when it was pretty clear that she was devaluing me when she devalued me, and that was often the result of conflict. But definitely some gaslighting, and which is intending to make someone else believe they're crazy. If you're the gaslighter, then you are planting the seeds that the other person is crazy and trying to get the other person to believe he or she is crazy. And so that was certainly going on. And then when she realized that she was also doing some overt, so that's the covert manipulation, is gaslighting, and then the overt manipulation is devaluing, just making you feel like a piece of, you know what, And so I was in the situation such that I had to remove her from the presence because it was at my house where she was gaslighting me and devaluing me. So I was of the situation. I had to remove her from my house. And so I did so by using the least amount of physical engagement necessary to move her outside of my house, as I think is the healthy response. And in so doing, I'm really traumatized by this event. In so doing, she actually started feigning abuse. Like she started screaming like, "Oh, he's hurting me, help me, somebody help me, he's hurting me," and feigned abuse. And luckily my neighbors know me well, so nobody reacted to her false calls of abuse. And they realized that something was off, but it was her that was off, not me. And so I did eventually get her outside of the house. And but yeah, what a nightmare dealing with somebody who is narcissistic.
Yeah. Do you feel that relationships you've had with narcissists have been draining you? Because that's a common theory that if you're in a long-term relationship of any kind with a narcissist, that they're kind of feeding off you and like a parasite, and then in retrospect, somebody could realize that their life energy has been drained, and their self-esteem has been drained.
Well, that's certainly how my relationship with my father was going. He would devalue and shame even the most fundamental philosophical differences that I had with him. He would shame and belittle them, and being around him was a chore, to say the least. And
so any difference of opinion from him, he would belittle you.
He would belittle, yes. Yes, and that left me feeling ill at ease and low and vampirized or something, like my energy had been taken away from me. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I've felt that way with narcissists too, that they've kept my self-esteem in this kind of low place, and I believed it for a long time, and then I'd be angry at both myself and them for allowing me to be in that position, putting myself in that position, and then them for enjoying putting me in that position and keeping and wanting me to stay there.
I see. Oh. Yeah, that reminds me of the dopamine hypothesis with regards to if you accept advice from someone, or if someone devalues you and you accept their narcissistic advice, then you take a hit to your dopamine levels. They drop. I believe it's dopamine, not serotonin in this case. And if you're able to give advice and it's well received, then you get a dopamine boost. So it's like the narcissist displaying some energetic dopamine vampirism game with you.
Or self-esteem vampirism.
Self-esteem vampirism, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hmm. Yeah, one of the things I've done since I've realized that some of my significant relationships were with narcissists that I wasn't fully aware at the time that they were. In some cases, I didn't know at all.
Mm-hmm.
But because these people were so good at portraying themselves in such a positive light, their false self was like this very ideal, like wonderful person, like bright, spiritual, giving, altruistic, and stuff like that.
Ah, yes.
So they're portraying that so strongly, and they want other people believe it too.
Yes.
And so it's like a power of social pressure, because other people believe that image too. But then when I look back at how they behave towards me, it doesn't seem that bright and spiritual at all. And I've had images of like transposing a demon face onto their supposedly smiling, happy, good person face. So like behind that face is this demonic face where they actually have agendas, hidden agendas, and they're actually sucking me of my vital energy, of my self-esteem and value, and stuff like that, feeding off that. And
especially the covert narcissist, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, you almost have to superimpose that demonic face in order to see the covert narcissist clearly for as they are. Whereas in the case of my father, you didn't have to. I mean, he was a pretty angry narcissist and very covert or very overt. So the demon was right there in front of you.
Yeah.
Interesting. Interesting, huh?
And some of the, like with the woman I dated, I read something in a dating book that having a long distance relationship is problematic because there's no testing ground for the relationship. Because you never actually see the person, or you only rarely actually spend time with them.
Okay.
So with this relationship I had with a female narcissist, we had this thing where we always talked about dating, and we did date, but only briefly. But then for years we would talk about it, that she was in a relationship with another guy, but she would always say, well, when he and I break up, you and I are going to be together, it's going to be great. And so, but she was able to inculcate in me this belief that it really was going to be great, and that we had this awesome connection, and if we just had this opportunity to actualize it, it would be just awesome. But what I realized later is that there was never any testing ground for that idealized belief that I had, and so it just could continue because I was never able to test it with her, because she would always actually remain aloof from actually being in a relationship with me. When I finally did try to test it with her, when she had broken up with him, with this other guy, and then she said that she was interested in dating me, so I engaged her. When that testing happened, the whole illusion fell apart, because she wasn't willing to be emotionally intimate with me, and she insisted on hiding things and having her own agenda that she wouldn't reveal. And when I tried to communicate with her, she was very vague and evasive, and she would try to turn it back on me. She'd do all these techniques to try to keep me out of knowing who she really was. And they were successful in the past, but this past time it happened, I didn't allow that to happen. I just let it all blow up. And I'm glad I did, because I actually got to see what was behind that mask.
Oh, wow. And for me, the lichen process was confronting my narcissistic father. I confronted him until the mask that was the overt self-idealized person was eventually destroyed, and he was able to get in touch with the wounded 2-year-old self that he was, and I believe that he was able to integrate some of his terrible self, which is split off from the idealized self at around age 2, with what he perceived as his idealized self. So that towards the end of his life, he was able to integrate those two things. So sounds like we both had an explosion in the relationship, and it served the narcissist. At least it served him. I don't know whether it served this other woman in question.
No, I don't think that she got any awareness from it at all. But I did. Yeah.
And I got to take back a lot of my own esteem during this healthy confrontation of my father's narcissism. I was able to basically take back my self-esteem.
Is that still with you to this day? The self-esteem
Sure.
that you regained?
Sure.
Okay. Yeah. Interesting.
Okay, well, I hope you've enjoyed our discussion of narcissism. Be well. Bye for now.